Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into a text about a group of people who were just desperate for a hero. But, and this is the whole point, the one who showed up was not at all what they were expecting. He was, as we're about to see, a very surprising kind of king.
So let's just start with this question right here, because it really gets to the core of what we're talking about today. I mean, think about it. The whole story is about this, unexpected answer to a really, really old problem. So just keep that idea in your back pocket as we dive in.
All right, so the text we're pulling from for this explainer is a devotional, and it tells this just incredible story, right? It's all about a king everyone was waiting for, but when he finally arrived, he completely flipped the script on what they thought a king should be.
Okay, so let's get into it. First up, we gotta set the scene a little bit, To really get why the king was such a surprise, you have to feel the desperation that the people were in.
So the text paints this really bleak picture. These people, they were at their absolute breaking point. I mean, just try to imagine it. For hundreds of years, they'd been enslaved. We're talking generations who knew nothing but suffering. They were tired, they were frustrated, they were just worn out. All they could do was hope and pray for someone, anyone, to come and rescue them. So what kind of hero were they actually expecting? I mean, put yourself in their shoes for a second. If you're in that kind of situation, what does your rescuer look like? What kind of power do they have?
Yeah, the text is super clear on this. They were expecting a warrior king, a general, someone to lead a revolution. They pictured this powerful ruler showing up with a massive army, ready to crush their enemies and set them free. It makes total sense, right? That's the logical fix for their problem.
But, and this is the big but, the king who actually showed up, he was the complete opposite of what they had in mind. This is where the story really takes a turn you just don't see coming.
And this slide just lays it all out, that stark contrast. On one hand, you have the expectation, military might, raw power. But the reality? Humility. They wanted freedom from other countries, but he offered freedom from something way bigger: sin, Satan, and even death itself. So the conquering king they were waiting for, he turned out to be a humble servant. Total 180.
And this right here, this is probably the most shocking part of the whole story. They weren't expecting him to die humbly on a cross. Think about that. Their hero, their king, was supposed to win a glorious battle. Instead, his story ends with what looks like the most humiliating defeat imaginable.
So this brings up a huge question, right? A question the text absolutely tackles. If this king was so wrong, so completely unexpected, how could he possibly be what the people actually needed?
Well, according to the text, the freedom this king brought was on a totally different level. It wasn't just about getting them out of a bad spot politically. No, it was about a much deeper deliverance. Freedom from the root causes of their suffering: sin, Satan, and death.
And that's really the key takeaway here. It's that classic difference between what we think we want and what we truly need. They wanted a political hero to fix their immediate problems, but the text argues that their real, deep-down need was for something so much bigger. The salvation he offered wasn't just a different kind of salvation, it was, as the text puts it, much greater.
And we're going to end with this prayer from the source text because it just wraps everything up so perfectly. It's this simple thank you for a king who conquered sin and death. A thank you for always providing not what we want, but what we actually need. It really drives home the whole point of this story: a surprising king who brought a much greater salvation.